Are you ready for the next instructional design and e-learning development tool we're going to review? Well, in this video, we're going to talk all about TechSmith Camtasia. Hi friends, welcome to my channel. I am Vanessa, and on this channel, I help aspiring instructional designers and e-learning developers just like you get off of the sidelines and get into the L&D game. And I know that it can be so overwhelming to know all about all these different tools that are available as an instructional designer or possibly an e-learning developer that you feel you need to be aware of, right? So there's Storyline, there is Captivate, there's Camtasia, there is Lectora, there is iSpring. There's all of these different tools, and you're not really sure what's worth your time. So on this channel, we've been reviewing a couple of different tools, and I've been giving you some of my pros and cons from a perspective of efficiency and what's easiest for you to know or for you to learn as a new e-learning developer, instructional designer. So today's tool is Camtasia, and I have to say, me and Camtasia, we have history, we have a past. You know, everyone has a past, and I'm going to take you back. I'm going to take you back to 2009, January 5th to be exact, and a young 22-year-old young woman started her very first job after college, and it was at a software company as a corporate trainer, and on that day, she received her onboarding plan, her 30, 60, 90 onboarding plan, and days 31 to 60 was all about e-learning. And back in 2009, e-learning was not huge. You know, coming straight out of college, it wasn't really something I knew too much about, and I was excited to learn. And then I met Camtasia, which was the tool that we were using to create this e-learning, and it was rough.
That sucks.
I had a really wonderful trainer. He really knew the software well, and he was really good at it. It just, for whatever reason, Camtasia, and for what we were trying to use it for, it just never clicked for me. It just was time consuming. It dragged. And then I ended up becoming the voice of the company, e-learning, and I had my own little recording studio. It was so good. Such good times. But anyway, so I really didn't want to do e-learning, so I didn't want to edit my own voice. Until eventually we moved over to Captivate from Camtasia, and things really started to click, and that's where, you know, my love for e-learning really kind of snowballed from there. Now, let's fast forward to 2021, and I find myself falling back in love with, well, not back in love, but falling in love for the first time with Camtasia. And that is because I am using it in the way it is intended to be used. And I'm not trying to make it fit what I want it to do. So, what are some really great things about Camtasia? So, it is an amazing screen recording tool and video editing tool. So, if you're using it for those purposes, you're golden, right? It does what it is meant to do well, and it is super intuitive. So it's something that I didn't watch a ton of tutorials on Camtasia, and frankly, if you asked me to remember something from last week at this moment in time, I could barely remember that, let alone a training I took back in February of 2009. So I had to kind of relearn it, reteach myself Camtasia, because I didn't keep up with it a ton through the years. And I'm teaching myself new things. I was actually just got off of a conference, and I was just, you know, I popped into the session on Camtasia, which I thought was great. And it was great to learn new tricks and how people are using it, and that they're really having successes using it in the way it's supposed to be used, right? So what are some areas that I'm using Camtasia for now? Well, I'm using Camtasia a lot for simple video editing or for screen recording, and something that is professional and polished looking, but doesn't take, you know, a ton of development and time. A lot of customers are looking for things, especially when you work in the software space, that is a little bit more cost effective, because software changes. And a lot of the clients that I work with, their software is changing almost every month. So we need to develop solutions that are flexible and that can be updated on the fly as the user interface changes, or as a button changes, or as a new field or a new functionality is added. I think Camtasia is amazing for creating content that can be on demand. And I'm working with a lot of clients who are looking to build knowledge bases and are finally going beyond okay, we need this foundational e-learn and we need to make sure everyone got certified, that they know how to use the tool before they get access to it. But now we're having conversations about, okay, so you have these foundational trainings. What happens when they need to remember how to do one little thing or remember how to access a workflow? Like, where are they going for that? And a lot of times it's like crickets. People are saying, well, they're turning around and asking their manager. Well, that seems like a big waste of time for the manager. The manager has a lot of things on their plate, and you don't want them to be spending their entire day answering frequently asked questions and not getting to things that actually will, be important for the team and do team building activities, right? And work on developing leaders and developing their team and all the other aspects that a manager has on their plate. You don't want them doing it in their, free time or late into the evenings and taking time away from their personal life, right? Because that's a recipe for disgruntled managers. It's a recipe for not retaining your employees. So it's really important that you're giving your learners the places that they need to go to and the opportunities to pick up that knowledge on demand. So this is where these screen recording software tools come in. And this is where Camtasia really is a great tool to have in your arsenal, in your tool bag as an instructional designer, because you're able to create these videos on the fly pretty quickly. And it's not too expensive, which is really, really nice. So as I mentioned, a lot of the things that I'm using Camtasia for is these quick screen recordings. And one of the things I love about it is the cursor effects. Now, in Storyline, this is definitely a miss. So if I want to bring any sort of attention to the mouse, the only thing I have is a checkbox for click effects, which only gives me 2 red circles that then, display when the mouse is clicked on something. Cool. That doesn't really help me, because sometimes it's hard for the learner to find where the mouse is, this little white mouse on this really big screen, especially when these screens a lot of times now are white. So Camtasia has these really awesome effects like magnifying, adding a highlight to your mouse, spotlight, and what's really great for me is the smoothing effect. So a lot of times as I'm recording, I don't mean to, but there are sometimes these like jerky movements that I'm making, or these like sudden movements, or I'm kind of going around just trying to sometimes, I don't know, like, you know how it is when you're recording. You want everything to be perfect, and then something happens and it isn't perfect. So you have to spend time editing it. Well, the nice thing is with that mouse smoothing motion is that you can kind of cut out some of that jerkiness and that distraction and have the mouse flow exactly where it's supposed to go. That has been a time saver and really a great, great tool to complement any foundational e-learns and really complement the development of these knowledge bases without having to add a ton of highlights and annotations. Camtasia does all of that. You can add text on the screen. You can add highlights to different areas. Zoom in and you can add different transitions, fades in, fade ins, fade outs. Fade out's another thing that is missing definitely from Storyline, which they need. But yeah, I think that it gives you the opportunity to do some of those things, make it a really nice, high quality video without a ton of bells and whistles needing to be figured out how to add. So you know that one of the things I love about Storyline and the Articulate 360 suite is the content library. And Camtasia has their own asset library that is killer. It is not super robust, but it's definitely a really great start for a beginner. And you can really create a couple of different videos on a few different topics. Some software, some soft skill, some process, right? Maybe like an explainer video on a skill or a tool or a process. And you can create those in Camtasia using some of these assets that are already built in, right? There's images, there's videos, there are intro and outro slides. There is the lower thirds, which is like when you see, you know, my name pop up on the bottom side of the screen. That's the lower third, right? So you can add all of those elements and not have to really design it from scratch. So if you're not a graphic designer, that's a really great place to go to pull in elements that are already developed, and then you can just customize obviously the text that would pop up, the colors to go with the branding, and you have yourself something that looks super professional and really great to showcase on your portfolio without having to feel like you need a whole graphics course, which I know graphic design is something that is challenging for a lot of instructional designers, and they feel like that is their weakest spot and is always like the one thing that's like glaring in all of their samples is like their perceived lack of graphic design skill. It's just that imposter syndrome creeping in, but it definitely helps with that. So the other thing that I love about the asset library is that I have created a lot of these great like intro videos, quick 1 to 2 minute videos for different areas of my business, different, you know, for micro learns, for organizations that I'm involved with. And having those assets have really created like a professional, consistent look because I'm able to save those as templates for all those different videos. And frankly, I don't have a ton of time to sit there and create a ton of different intros and outros and put in the lower thirds and customize and do all of these different things as I would love to. This is why I love travel film for doing my video editing on my YouTube channel. I mean, for me to sit and do all the editing that Russell does for me and do all of the editing and annotations that he's able to do, it would take me forever. It would just eat up so much time that right now I just don't have. But these little short clips of videos that I'm doing for either myself, my business, or for my clients, I'm able to use those assets to speed up the development process. And frankly, let's not lie here. All clients want things done yesterday. So if you can find ways to template certain things, it helps speed up the development time and helps them be happier and more satisfied with your services, which then keeps them coming back to you for more work. So now for the not so good, as a whole, the features are kind of limited. So you have to, again, remember what Camtasia is for, right? It is a video editing software. It is a screen recording tool. You can add some interactive elements with like interactive quizzes, but other than that, you're not exactly creating this traditional e-learn that you are going to have a couple of samples of in your portfolio. And while I think that having some Camtasia work is great, and I think it is necessary, and you really want to showcase your range and that you can use different tools, and that you bring different tools to the project to ensure that you're providing quality products. So you're not being held down to one tool. You can bring in Beyond, you can bring in Camtasia, then you can bring in Storyline, and when you package all of that together, you can create something that's more custom, more engaging, better for the learner. So while you may look at Camtasia and think that it's a really great tool, it's inexpensive, and it's a great starter tool, it definitely is. It's just not going to give you everything that you're going to need in a portfolio that potential clients are going to ask you for. And likely if you're getting into instructional design and e-learning, they're going to want to see things like branching scenarios, just scenario role-based type training, right? And more traditional e-learning, things that have, tab interactions, perhaps a game, things like that. And that you won't find using Camtasia. So my final verdict, I think it's absolutely 100% a tool you need to have exposure to and pick up and put it into your toolkit. Now, does that mean that everything that you're going to put out there is just based in Camtasia? No, I think you're going to have to couple that with a more traditional e-learning tool like Storyline or Captivate. But I think that starting off with Camtasia, because it's so intuitive, you can have something built in just a few short hours Okay, well, maybe like a day. That is great for your portfolio. So you could at least get something on there, right? Get a small win. So I think that instructional design can be super overwhelming because there's all these different facets to it. So it's not just e-learning, right? It's not just developing instructor-led content. It's not just creating, job aids and user manuals and all of those things, right? So I think that if you are able to create a small video like Camtasia clip, that's a small win that will get you excited and motivated to move to the next phase. And it makes it easier when you're transitioning and learning, Captivate and Articulate Storyline. It makes it a lot easier for you, right? So you've already picked up a couple of things, how to clip video, how to add in some transitions and things like that. Now it's just a matter of figuring out how to do that in those tools. And then the interface those interfaces won't feel as overwhelming because you're already used to one tool. So definitely pick it up. Definitely share with me how you're using Camtasia in your learning arsenal. Are you using it for your portfolio? Are you currently working with a client or employed and using Camtasia? Well, let me know how you're doing that and let's share with the group. Are you using it for screen recording? Are you doing simple videos? Are you doing micro learns through it? I would love to hear more about how you guys are using Camtasia. And so if you're looking for a place to call home and a place to talk to a lot of other instructional designers and professionals in learning development at all stages, in all different industries, in all different places in their career, from actually all over the world, then make sure you join the Freelance Learning and Development Network on Facebook. The link is down below and I cannot wait to see you there and discuss more what it is that you're working on and share with us your portfolio. Let's help each other out and all up our portfolio game. Well, friends, thank you so much for watching and I will see you in my next video. Bye.